Okay, Bruce, we're recording.
Wow, it actually told me recording in progress. I have
And
to
a voice
acknowledge.
saying this meeting is being recorded.
Yeah,
We
it's
want to
an
make,
update.
we
I
wanna-
had to acknowledge it.
yeah, I guess we have to make sure, you feel like you're in a safe environment,
That's it.
and I think
Or that, who knows?
and
In this
brand
day and age,
safety.
with so many people behaving badly on the internet and you on these tools and breaking in, I guess it makes sense. In any event,
We got some thoughts
here
on
we are for another. How does that make sense, right?
Happy Memorial Day to you.
And to you, thank you. Thank you.
So you got something on your mind.
Yeah. We've been kicking around topics, and one of the things that seems to keep coming around every 20 years or so is this idea of the medium is the message. And I was thinking about that, and then in this world of micro targeting, where you have people that have 1 million followers or 100,000 followers that have on their every word, it occurs to me that the ability to go in and reach those people and have a conversation with them is obviously greatly improved on the one hand. On the other hand, you have to create creative for each one of these little channels, number one, like direct marketers did, where, okay, response to A, B, C, D, or E creative on these different mediums is higher, and they do their algorithm and figure out how to rotate in the different creative. Is that where we're headed? That's a kind of scary thought to me, because that would be the death of great creative.
Right.
It really would. Or the second part of it is, do we just start talking to the same people? Does it just become, like we've talked before, an echo chamber?
Yeah.
So you're just talking to people that have all the same. I mean, listen, people want to do business with people like themselves in terms of how they share values and attitudes towards certain things.
Yeah.
But in this polarized world, how fine do you want to cut it?
Yeah, to me, it's a little crazy. And I think, the more I think about it, a lot of this is self-inflicted wounds on the part of marketers, and sort of more evidence that they're paying attention to all the superfluous noise around them and not paying enough attention to who they're serving, once again, their customers, and what really makes a difference at the end of the day. If you waver into some of these different turf wars that are out there, does that affect your sales one way or the other, up or down? That still seems to be the metric, or the key metric, that is there money in your pipeline, or is your pipeline getting obstructed because of some of this stuff? And I think there's a couple of things there. You use the direct marketing example. And yeah, I think if it came down to like a features and benefits type thing, where it's like, okay, for a certain audience, maybe they like more of the certain flavors in an ingredient, versus a price point for another marketer. So features, benefits.
Yeah, white teeth are more important than fresh breath. Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, but I think what you're getting at is more of like brand positioning. Do you actually start presenting yourself, the values of your brand, to different audiences in different ways based upon this micro targeting? To me, that it's like a person leading a compartmentalized life. I think, we use the analogy of some of the old sitcoms from the 1950s and 60s would feature Ricky Nelson having 2 prom dates, and what does he do from one to the other?
Yeah. Yes, I mean, well, and then the question is, do you really have a brand if it's that elastic? And you try to position it that differently for different audiences.
Right.
Because, long ago we learned that, you're really, as a marketer, you're a steward of a brand. You don't own it. Your customers in reality own it.
And I think that's
yeah. And in this case, I feel like we're walking down a path from a marketing perspective and a strategy perspective where, you know, we either get into these little product, you know, everything's a product brand, so it can be sliced. And as you said, talk about features and benefits and not the gestalt of the brand, because, you know, which is an antithesis of the categories I loved working in, you know, where you had corporate advertising and where you had image advertising and user imagery.
Right.
I mean, I feel bad when you think about it, because the guys that, you know, and gals, the brands that really struggle in this environment are things that really benefit greatly from usage and user imagery. You know, beverages, whether those are alcoholic or non-alcoholic. You know, cars even. You know, you start to think about how they make you feel and how you escape, and that kind of user imagery and usage. You know, I'm at the ball game drinking a Coke or a beer.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in the backyard having a barbecue. You know, though that type of imagery becomes, you know, does everybody have to wear a red hat in one and a pair of aviator sunglasses in the other? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But it's an issue right now. I really think, you know, people are walking down that road.
Well, you know, I think maybe this is a massive case of listen, when you were growing up, there might have been a kid or some kids that you did pick on you, or you think they'd pick on you, you know, on your way to school or whatever. And what would your mother say? Something like, ignore them, or, you know, push them back, or you're better than that, or they're just jealous. In other words, the words that she would say would just be there to put those other kids in perspective, that separate yourself from that group, because you're better than that, or you're gonna be better than that. I think it's a less place. Too bad that it's this wasn't Mother's Day. I think that that's kind of a lesson for a lot of these marketers too. Stop paying attention to these Twitter heads that are out there. Okay, there are maybe thousands of them, but they're still a microcosm of the universe. And at some point, you have to say, you know what? Say what you want. We're here to put out a great product, a great service, and maybe our company has certain values that we want to also talk about. But you need to move forward and stay higher than that, because ultimately what happens is they're going to pull you down, and it's going to be no win. And you can find yourself fragmented all over the place. And at some point, you want people who disagree with you to even at least respect you for standing up for yourself. So I guess that's a long-winded way of saying, put the bullies in perspective. You know, you mentioned the liquor category, and it reminded me, because you talk about some of the media, you know, out there, and you know, at some point, you know, the medium is the message, and do you get yourself aligned? So, for example, if you're on one of the news channels, does that mean that you are a right wing versus a left wing and all that kind of stuff? Again, I think the marketers need to go back to what the liquor marketers, the way they thought, or even cigarette market, or any marketer did at one point in time, and that these are just vehicles to reach people. You worked on liquor, I worked on liquor, and we were in some pretty risque publications. Some publications that would make, you know, Playboy look pretty conservative. But the point being was that these were a vehicle to reach an audience. This was nothing about the brand espousing those lifestyle virtues or lack of virtues, however you want to look at it. And that's how I think you need to look at some of this stuff. Otherwise, you get sucked into all these different tribes out there that really have only one interest and one interest only, and that is to fight each other.
Well, yeah. Yes, you know, marketing, AKA Afghanistan, right? You know,
Yes.
I think that there's an opportunity for brands to set themselves apart by focusing on the true values that they hold and not trying to spin them for the right or the left.
Right.
but to just be true to who they are.
Yeah.
And because, and let the medium carry the credibility.
Right.
Okay. So if you're a far right, ultra conservative, or you're this crazy progressive, or you're, just right down the middle, the, let the medium do it.
Right.
Let the medium do it. I think that people are too ready to take sides. And I don't think micro targeting, how many is going to get you there with the same message, right?
Right.
I mean, the whole point of micro targeting is that you can go in and find that little point of difference. So there's a real opportunity there. And I'm not saying don't do it, but think about the messaging here that you need to maintain, or look at it differently. The messaging here that maintains your foundation versus the kind of narrow targeting, micro targeting that you can do based on, as you said, a specific feature.
Yeah.
And I think that's how they have to think about this, but I'm not seeing it yet. I hope it happens.
I hope it happens. So I think at some point it's going to, because until it affects bottom lines one way or the other, I think what you're saying is don't appropriate that micro target. You give those but be believable. Suddenly you're not them. You're reaching a certain group, and for certain brands it makes sense probably for them to be a lot more niched into those areas. Others it doesn't. Be true to yourself and true to who you are. I think it's pretty much. And the other lesson I think is listen to your mother.
Always. Have a great Memorial Day.
You
Anybody that sees this, thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
I mean, most sincerely.
Absolutely.
Have a good one, buddy.
You too.